You can spend hundreds and hundreds of hours watching these types of videos. You can also spend hundreds on car setups, AI, telemetry, third-party tools that promise to make you quicker, yet here you are, still not improving. You're in your practice session, you're doing your races, and you're hitting your limit again, and you cannot get out of it. You're stuck in a cycle, trying to improve. How do we break out of it? And there's so much advice on how to get better lap times that we are kind of fat on information. My name is Arnoud, I've been sim racing for years, have created multiple car setups, done dozens of coaching sessions, and in this video we're not going to give you more information, we're actually going to give you less, but something to work with, so you're not overwhelmed with information and can actually focus on something that will improve your lap time. The first objection you might have, I don't have to improve. Well, you do, because once you stop improving, things get boring, things get simple, kind of want to challenge yourself to get in some sort of a flow. But if it's too hard and you're in too high splits, or you're driving too difficult cars, or you're driving a too difficult simulation, things get hard, you get anxious and you quit. When you're here, you quit. When you're here, you quit. But if you can feel enjoyment and improvement, this is actually what we're looking for, and this is what this video will provide. It will push you back into the flow of enjoyment. Before you can actually understand how to get good, you need to understand how you build up skill to begin with, because a lot of us don't really understand this. I didn't understand this. So imagine a world full of techniques and knowledge. We are small. We don't have enough skill. And what is skill? Well, skill is knowledge and techniques combined. So if I wanted to gain more skill, I need to practice a technique, get some knowledge of that technique, and then I get more skill. And currently this is what we have. We have all this knowledge online, but we don't have enough skill. Where do I focus on? Which technique should I learn? And which knowledge should I gain to get better? And as we move through the levels, we'll set a goal, and then we can actually gain some technique and knowledge to fully cement that goal and move on. Why is this important? Well, I can learn a beginner on the advanced techniques of trail braking, but you're not ready when you're starting out or when you're wildly off the pace. Starting out with level 1, and this means you're wildly off the pace as a beginner who just started out, or as someone that just struggles from day one, which is pretty normal. The best news at this level is gains are very easy. There are some things that need to click and you can immediately move on to the next level. First thing, as a rookie, as a beginner, you want to get into some predictable and repeatable and isolated inputs. And what does that mean? I will show you in a minute. First thing you need to understand with learning a skill is that first your behavior needs to change, then you get feedback on these changes, and then you'll learn something. 9 out of 10 times you'll do the wrong things, but at least you will be learning. So the clue here in this whole video is that you change the behavior no matter what level you are, because if you keep doing the same thing, nothing changes. So in the next corner section, I will show you what's going wrong here, and have an input telemetry on the bottom in your screen so you can always, after the corner execution, see what you did. You need to get familiar with that telemetry because that's going to be so beneficial through all your sim racing journey. And this is the first thing you want to avoid, what we're doing here in this complete corner execution. And this is going to cost you seconds. When you're a level 1 driver, this whole area doesn't really say anything to you. There are so many clues on track, but you don't know anything. But you need to brake early in the beginning, because when you brake early or you lift first, you get yourself more time to explore this environment where you are right now. When you're new and you don't know tracks, you're just missing so much details. Now I will explain how this directional corner execution went and how much time it's going to cost us. We're going to see later in the video. So because I don't know a corner entry, I'll brake too late. I steer into the corner, but I correct the steering, and then I overshoot the apex, I'm jumping the brakes, I'm on the throttle, but then I'm off the throttle, and then now my corner is finished. And this could feel really fast, but this is very, very, very slow, like insanely slow. And if we move on to the next corner over here, we also going too far into the corner to begin with. Now we have no cornering capability. We want to go on the throttle, we're jumping the throttle again, and now we exited the corner. In the first example, we are both violating this rule and this rule. No matter what skill level you are or how far you're in your sim racing journey, you need these two rules to get better. So nice, Arnoud. What can I actually do when I'm this far off the pace? If you set a clear goal, then your subconscious is going to chase that goal. And your goals are going to be car control, turn off every game assist like braking lines and stability control and stuff. And you want to get into predictable inputs, including predictable gear shifts. When you enter a corner, you brake. When you steer to the apex, you turn. And then you do not lift. You commit to the throttle. That's the focus, what you want to do. And then with that steady inputs, you're going to focus on building references on track. Don't worry so much about lap time, but make sure you're not jumping throttle, overcorrecting all the time. So you get a solid foundation, repeatable and predictable inputs. You love to race, you have done laps, races, but when it comes to great results, you are struggling. You fight the brakes, the car, you might think you're too old for this or you lack time, and that might prevent you from getting better. When you're 5 seconds off the pace, you're definitely still doing a lot of things wrong. Most of your lap time are not on the throttle early enough, and it has two reasons. You either don't open up corners enough, or mid-corner speed is too high. Now this lap will show you how lap time will come towards you. And you can see it on the top right on the delta. I am applying the tips from the first level goal and I want to get into some predictable input. So I brake early and I do one input. So I steer, I commit to the throttle slowly and hit the throttle. And you can see on this sector how much time we gained from that exit alone. Now again, I might lose some time here because I'm still learning, but again, I focus on my exits. And look again how that lap time starts to drop as I hit the throttle. We lost 3/10, but now we're actually gaining. And once you do this on a level 2 driver, you get positive reinforcements of your inputs. And this is also, look how steady my inputs are. I'm very much under the limit, mind you, but I'm gaining time because I'm not shifting so much with my load transfer and the car is not unsettling so much. I just use a repeatable and predictable inputs, one input at a time, and look how much time we gained on this exit alone. This is like a half a second. And this is the thing with level 2 drivers. All of a sudden, you might have found a part on track where you immediately gain a lot of time and you cannot understand how did you do that. And this is the reason. It's about how you enter the corners, and here we gained 1 or first seconds as a level 2 driver. If you have built references and you have somewhat of repeatable and predictable inputs, it's time to get more knowledge from a track guide. See on a track guide what lines they take and start copying those lines. Don't look at their braking points, don't look at their lap times, but try to copy what they are doing, because at this stage there's so much still to learn, and your main goal will be to get better exits because of it. When you do better lines using track guides, you'll be able to corner the car better and being on the throttle earlier. You might have raced for years at this stage. You've seen videos, you use telemetry, you might have bought car setups, and here's where the true enjoyment starts, because you are consistent. You might get better results in races than in qualifying, but you lack confidence when entering higher splits. Don't let limited beliefs limit you. I'm too old to improve. I don't have the right gear, or I don't have enough time to get faster. I really believe, despite the time here, you can still build on this moment. What just happened there? I watched a track guide and saw that I need to brake earlier than the track guide, but I focused on positioning the car better over here, and now all of a sudden I can carry up all that speed here on this straight, and I'm actually winning 2/10 doing this. And this is also going to be important for this next sector. I'm going to brake early again, and I'm going to bleed off the brakes, and that's going to help me to rotate the car even better. And here is where trail braking starts to shine. And this is something you want to have learned, that you're releasing brakes earlier. So imagine this part on track. Over here, we're gonna break it down. Now, a great braking reference would be somewhat 100-meter sign. And again, this is like from level 2 to level 3, maybe half a year has passed, don't worry. But you want to get into the feeling of releasing that brake pedal more slowly. So let's break it down. I'm hitting the brakes. I'm opening up the steering. I try to bleed off these brakes. And I can do this because I brake early. What's happening at this stage is that we are loading up front tires. They are more on rails than before, and it allows me to corner the car better, and we have a slip angle in the car, making us turn better. Also, there is still plenty of wrong with this corner execution. Let's move on. And I want to take some time to do this part because I think most people are here. And why trail braking is so incredibly difficult is because once you get certain references, you'll find that you're turning in all of a sudden too early and you're doing all these micro corrections all the time. So it's important to, again, be early in the braking zone and give yourself some time to execute on it. And you can see here that with a introduction of trail braking, we gained even more time than previously. But don't make the mistake that this is gonna happen in a couple of days. It's gonna take time, and it's gonna take time on different tracks, and especially when you have a telemetry on your screen, you can see, oh, I did the trail braking wrong. I made a mistake over here. Here as well. Fully committing on a throttle. Now I did not improve on this part of the track. It isn't always getting better, but sometimes you only have to do a certain behavior and see that delta drop all of a sudden, and with the right amount of knowledge, you know, like, hey, I actually did something right here. Now, we are again shaved off 2 seconds of the lap, and we're like in a good shape at this point. When we are a semi-advanced driver and we are 3-4 seconds off the pace, definitely are starting to do things right. But we still need to have goals. We need to improve the braking, and again, we need more intel on our track knowledge. But because before we were not trail braking so much, but now we are, and the rules start to change for us because we can enter the corner more differently, and we can maybe cut the track even more. And again, the focus will be on the throttle earlier. Also, do bunch of races and set up your car more aggressive if it becomes boring or safe. So you could also pick a more difficult car because that will force you to be more precise on your braking inputs. And that's how you improve braking, by making cars more aggressive. That will be more punishing on your inputs. Before we go to the level 4, I need to point out that I think the most people in sim racing are stuck on this level 3. You can do races, you can be somewhat consistent, but as you're trying to improve, things get very difficult. And if you're not improving, things just get boring. And I really believe you need something else from the car. So the car needs to become more aggressive, and I'll explain how that works. So the examples that we have provided were on a level 2 setup that I have created, and it comes with anti-roll bars, dampers, rake in the car, and these parameters will explain the aggressiveness of the car. When I am stuck on lap time, I go more aggressive on my setups. So I have created setups that take ages to make, and I create a lower brake bias. I get softer front suspension. There's more rake in the car. There's other damper settings and different values on the rear end of the car, which make the car turn better, but it also is gonna be more challenging. That's why I set them up in different levels. I have some free ones on the site to test them out, and I also have the premiums in the description. You know racing dynamics, you know the racing line to a great depth. You have detailed feeling of braking, certain leaks, you win races, you're confident in what you can do, you rarely spin the car when racing with others, and your consistency is constantly giving you good results. Yet, there is still a gap that feels enormous to the top. At this stage, getting better is going to take some reps compared to level 3. If you're competing in split 1, you're racing against drivers that have practiced and did a lot of racing. It's a fierce field. Just by doing a few races a week, gains really start to diminish at this stage. Now you might think, how did we improve on that 202 lap time all of a sudden? And mind you, we're still on the level 2 setup, so we can definitely do it on a very safe setup. Is that now we are actually lining up properly on the corner, and you can take this to more extremer degrees. So as a level 4 driver, I know that I just have more knowledge. I know I need to open myself up even more for the corner. I wasn't doing it enough. Beforehand, this was invisible for me to see, but now all of a sudden I see, oh man, I need to open myself up even more. And that results in a better opening for this part, and now we're gonna carry that advantage all the way up to this next sector, giving us an enormous boost again on the lap time. And I'm gonna do that here again. And this is the thing, what you wanna get into, and this accounts for every level, the racing line. You cannot cheat on the racing line. If you're entering corners wrong, you will never ever gain. Also here, we're taking this curb, we're taking this curb, and we're taking this curb, and we are making radius longer, giving us a higher average speed. Because of we're doing that, we're entering corners in a different way. So in a small, nuanced way, you're kind of relearning the track again. At this stage as well, I exit the corner here, and this is also what happens. Like, I'm already at this stage where I'm kind of like reaching my own limit. I'm like, there's still a lot of stuff that I can do in the car and the setup at this stage, but on this setup I'm kind of like stuck because I have some understeer here. The safe cars will just give you the understeer and things get kind of boring. I cannot really push the car anymore, so I need a car that is more aggressive at this stage. You don't have the luxury anymore to make a small mistake on the racing line and how you enter corners, because you need more driving precision. And this is going to greatly help when you learn to drive more aggressive setups, because when you have more setup aggression, you are kind of like being forced into this, and the reward is rotation, which we then can apply to, again, exit corners faster, but also have a higher mid-corner speed. So we're not understeering anymore, but we're reaching the limit of oversteer mid-corner. You're also gonna find that you need to learn sim exploits. Telemetry are great tools to see where the fastest people brake, and you wanna kind of compare in your split 1 races, compare to an alien and see just in a replay what they are doing, how they, like, what their top speeds are. And there's like a lots of like minor things, and you also want to focus on 1% improving at this stage, because it can get really discouraging, and plateaus on this level are insanely strong. Like, you need, for instance, if you would be a skill level 1 driver, you apply a few techniques, a racing line, you gain a second, and when you're skill level 2, you get more knowledge, but as you get better, you are skill level 4, for instance, you might need to pick up a whole bunch of knowledge and new techniques to kind of feel that end result. So I think a half a second on skill level 4 is the same time gain as a skill level 1 to 3, for instance. Now we did the 201.3 and I could really feel that my level 2 setup is really limiting me at this stage, so I picked my level 4.6 and I put in the same fuel level, so we got an equal and fair comparison. I go out on the pit again. I can fully enjoy the exit here, and I'm gaining 3/10 in just that corner. And a lot of that precision I now also kind of need to learn again, because I'm not driving the Merc that much. But for this example, I just want to show you that after a few warm-up laps, so this is only lap 10, by the way, and we're again 4/10 down. Now I also will say that the definition of esports and aliens comes with nuance, because you might be on the podium in split 1 on a daily race, but once you're in really like popular competitions, then there's even a lot more time to be gained. So I always compare this to real sports, for instance. You can be on a high division on football, but the pros, that gap is actually a lot bigger. I'm going to admit here that on a good day, when I sit down, when I do laps, when I do multiple races on the same car and the same track combo, and I'm getting better setups, I'm getting the car to be more aggressive, I'm more refining my inputs, I can sometimes get this. And I also will draw the line here, because at this stage, you need to maximize every phase of the corner. You need to be on the maximum amount of slip angle, not 70% of the corner, not 80% of the corner, but you need to be on that exact limit all the time. Every input needs to be without hesitation, and the focus is that you already know what to do, but you need to do it every lap under pressure. And I really believe this doesn't come by driving a few days a week. This is gonna take a lot of time. And that's also where I'm gonna draw the line, because I have two choices. I can make these kinds of videos or trying to close that gap. And that's where my enjoyment basically stops. I get more enjoyment for creating these kinds of videos. So let's say you're a level 4 driver or level 3 and you really want to expand knowledge on how tires work, how to brake, then I highly recommend watching this Death of the Trail Braking tutorial. It's an in-depth guide on car dynamics that is, in my opinion, pretty undervalued. So click on this one, see you over there. Thanks for watching.